when you want to construct, design, or develop your research instrument, this is preparatory before you go for your field work. Now, the first place to start is your research questions, research objectives. Like I said, from all the series of videos, there's a lead thread that is following chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. That thread is your objectives. Everywhere it reflects indirectly in your chapter 3, but almost directly in chapter 1, chapter 2, then chapter 4, because you will still do discussion of findings, then your summary of findings in chapter 5. So you list out your objectives, 3 of them, 4 of them, or maybe 5 of them. Then the other section that is important is your summary of gaps. So please watch the video on summary of gaps. Then you will see how to extract or build your questionnaire from the summary of gaps, so that you are going to have a very, very robust discussion of findings. Like, research is just adding another layer to what other people have done. You don't just come out and start up something unless it's exploratory research, um, and using maybe grounded theory. But even at that, there are people who have done one or two things in that area. So you have your objectives. Then in the summary of gaps, if you watch the video, each section is based on one of these objectives. So like this objective here is based on, this summary of gaps is based on objective 1. If we critically look at it, so we are looking at enhancement. We are looking at enhancement. So we're looking at enhancements here. That's a key variable. So we will come back here as regards enhancement. So each section in the summary of gaps is defending the research question. So if you now want to now come to build your own, so when you want to come and build your own research instrument, since you have gathered this, when you now want to come and build your own research instrument, you look at the gaps, especially the quotations. So let's say, so apart from whether it's quantitative, qualitative, content analysis, or whatever research method you are using, the literature plays a very important role. So you say various studies have shown that Facebook has the potential of enhancing water communication with its numerous features like low data consumption for easy accessibility. So you convert this. So let's say question 1. So you see, the first question that comes out from this, how has low, how, the first question that comes out from this, how has low data consumption aided in how Facebook enhances water communication? So you have built this question from what Heria has has said. Various studies has also showed Facebook has the potential of enhancing water communications and its numerous features like low data consumption for easy accessibility. So this study among Facebook, so your own variable is enhancing water. So that is what you're adding. These people said in 2021, Facebook enhances accessibility for water communication, but you're narrowing it down to rural communities, water access in rural communities. That is your key one. So you're building on what area has said. So you defend it like this. So the second one, how has Facebook made it So your second question, how has Facebook made it easy to reach large and diverse audiences as regards clean water access? If you had seen before, this SADC and Belkich in 2024, they didn't have this issue of clean water access. What they were just looking at was something general. But you're developing based on what they have done. You're developing it. So the third one is on risk communication. So we are asking, so you see Kim, Hove, and Antwi, all their studies combined, they were talking of what? Risk communication. Yes, related to water, but not clean water access. So all these studies, you're building it from the gaps, the gaps that have been provided in the your literature. So let me say section one or research objective one or research question one, you can have five of this based on what you're looking at, so that when you come, you're doing your findings, you ask if these people found that low data access enables Facebook in communication, in water communication, you're coming to now ask how has Facebook enhanced water access in rural community, especially low data. So your study can find that no, data is still expensive and we cannot afford data, especially in Nigeria, especially in this our media ecology and all. But maybe Heria Franco from Brazil, data is free for rural communities. So it is, so when you come to discussion of findings, you compare that Heria study, Heria Franco study, and your own study. What was the convergence? What was the divergence? How did the theory of participatory culture, media, or whatever theory you're using aligns with it? When you come back, how has Facebook made it easy to reach large and diverse audiences? Remember, your own is regarding clean water. SADC and this other study is regarding water communications or something related to water, but with Facebook. So you're now adding, you're now building on the conversation, you're now extending the knowledge. Yes, Facebook has been able to reach large audiences in Plateau State regarding clean water. Then how has Facebook aided in risk communication? Maybe when there's flooding, maybe when there's drought, maybe there's one kind of the borehole is broken and people are suffering. So can Facebook help to reach authorities, local government people, or maybe to warn people, early warning system? That is risk communication based on these studies by these three people. So this is a sample of three. Then you can, depending on how many you want for each research question. So by the time you now answer all these three, by the time you now answer all these three, you're already building the answer to your own first research question. By the time you answer all of them, it now becomes clearer. This research question is now being answered by this other one. So this is the second research objective. So we work on it. Furthermore, literature has revealed a number of concepts made obsolete by Facebook. Among them is how agenda setting has largely shifted from institutional media to Facebook audiences. So you now convert this to a question. So you see, you've built a question based on Mohammed and Dahal. So your own is you've added the keyword of obsolete. So what they have looked is that Facebook is now shifting agenda setting. Traditional media, radio, TV, print are agenda setters, but with Facebook, agenda setting is now being shifted to Facebook audiences. If they want something to go viral, it goes viral. If a discussion or something that is happening in the polity, they can now control the narrative. So, but you want to now ask, okay, Facebook regarding clean water access, does it make this agenda setting obsolete? So your own findings will either confirm or disapprove. Then when you come to discussion of findings, you go back to these studies and say, based on my findings, it aligns with this and this. Facebook does not make agenda setting obsolete among your study population. So this is another one. The literature also found out that human interaction or face-to-face communication regarding traditional media consumption has been diminished due to the growing influence of Facebook. So let's build another question from here. So now we have built another question. How has Facebook diminished human interaction and or face-to-face communication regarding traditional media consumption? How has Facebook how has Facebook diminished human interaction and or face-to-face communication regarding traditional media consumption due to the growing influence of Facebook as regards clean water access in rural community? So based on the study of Cooper and Dave, we have just added our own variable of clean water. So maybe they discuss something. Then how has Facebook diminished human interaction? So if you want to complain about water access, or if you want to complain of anything, instead of going to the water board or going to a Ministry of Water Resources, you can now use Facebook. So what are you adding to what Cooper and Dave? Where did they stop? So if they say Facebook has diminished, you're now adding this clean water access and all. So when you're submitting, when you're submitting to your supervisor your research instrument, you could build it like this. They might not understand. You could build this showing all this. Then when the clean copy now comes out, of course you will remove um, all these things. So the same thing for research objective 3, the same thing research objective 4. All the questions must align under the research objective so that when you come to discussion of findings, so all will have to align so that you're going to have a very, very robust discussion of findings. Your findings will be linked to what is in the literature. So after you've built your research instrument, of course, it is in a raw format like that. Then it comes out clean. You have the title of the study, your name, your department. You have a preamble to your research instrument, something clean. Just tell us what is inside, like an introduction, reminding us of what your was in your chapter 3. Then you bring it clean. If this is a focus group discussion, a discussion guide, so you make it clean, demographic data, how long, verbal consent, that's if it's interviews you're doing, all those preliminary things for an interview. You start asking the questions and all. So in the main one for your chapter 2, or what we have done enhances, so all those areas, so these questions that we have built, 1, 2, 3, they are now the ones 1, 2, 3 reflecting here. You remove all those when it's approved by your supervisor, or otherwise maybe they don't want it. The idea of showing them the quotation is to let them know that this question is actually coming from your gaps in literature. So you see how clean it is. You have removed all those sources, but everything. So section 1 enhances, that's the keyword, research question 1. Research question 2, obsolete, that's the keyword. Then research question 3, retrieve. Research question 4, reverses. So you build every one of these questions comes from the summary of gaps, comes from the literature itself, comes from the literature theme. Nothing about this comes from empirical review, because empirical review is about is a methodological review. You are reviewing the methodology. So that this is how to build a research instrument, constructing, designing, or developing a research instrument.